Welcome to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast with your host, legendary powerlifter and strength athlete, Chad Ikes. For most, the journey of strength starts in the gym, but should inevitably expand through all aspects of life. Join us as we discuss all things strength. Now, here's your host, Chad Ikes.
Back again with Amber Hansen, my co-host.
Hi, it's me, your girl, Corn Mommy.
The kind of topic today is going to be a little bit about meal prep, meal prep. We could
do another one on that.
Beef and rice. Because she has the Women's Pro-Am coming up here in like 2 weeks now.
Yep, April 15th and 16th. The amateur day is on the 15th, and then the pros are on the 16th, Sunday.
The bad part is Chad's got to get in one of them tin cans and fly across the country again.
Sorry.
But it has been interesting for me because I don't do your training. I mean, I don't want to mess anything up coming into your competition because you have a good team and good guys and everything. But it's been interesting to watch your meat prep and see how you do it and how it goes. And I think one of the interesting things for me was how you auto-regulate.
Yeah, it's very fluid. It's really hard for me to describe, actually, because there's no, there's like a general structure and pattern, but like, if I'm not feeling it, I don't do it. Which, that's hard to, because like no one else is in my body but me. And no one knows what right and wrong feels like except for me. Like, people will be able to see things and point things out, like bar speed or fatigue, or the people who I train around know my general personality and know like what normal is for me. So they'll know like, oh, she's a little tired, or she's a little cranky, or something's off. But that's about it. That's what they have to go off of to give me feedback.
Well, I think that's, as a coach, with my clients and stuff, I always tell them, like, I can be the greatest coach in the world, but I still can't know your body like you know your body. Mm-hmm. So there has to be this communication where I need my clients to understand what I'm looking for and what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
They need to be able to communicate to me what they're feeling and going through. And then together, I can learn more about them, and I need to get to the point where, okay, they know the things that I need them to know, and I trust what they're telling me about their body. Because, I mean, like, even like you said, like, they could go, man, something's off with Amber today. I think maybe she's tired or something. You're going to know, do I just need to nut up today, or do I need to, is it actually something going on? Or that little twinge that I'm feeling, is that really something? Or does that just mean I need to work it out and do a little PNF stretching or something before I get to it?
Yeah, that's one of the frustrating things that Marcus and I, my coach, have talked about. Like, when he asks me, how are you feeling? He wants a detailed response, and I know what he's looking for. I'm not trying to give him, there's no right answer, but I want to give him enough information so that he can sit down with his little sticky note at the beginning of my sessions and be like, okay, let's hit this, let's do this, because you said such and such wasn't feeling too hot, let's get some blood in it, blah blah blah. And like, sometimes you'll get people who aren't very good at communication. They're just like, yeah, I'm great, I'm good. Or you'd be like, how are you feeling? And like, oh yeah, I'm a little tired. I'm like, okay, well, elaborate. Like, how much sleep did you get? What is your water intake today? Work stressing you out? All of these other things and factors play into how a training session will go. You have to be brutally honest with yourself and brutally honest with the person who's helping you, because that's the only way you're going to get the most out of anything. And sometimes the answer is go home.
No, I think you really hit on something with the brutal honesty with yourself and with your coach. Your coach isn't looking at you to go, I need this person to tell me they're feeling great every time they come in here, and that's not, telling me you're tired is not being positive. Like, no, the coach needs to know the honest truth of how you're feeling, and that means you got to be truthful with yourself. And I mean, there's days where you could come in and go, yeah, man, I'm tired, but I don't feel bad. I think I can do this. And your coach may ask you various different questions. And, there's a lot of different signs to overtraining, and you can read a lot about people with, like, how's your appetite? How's your flexibility been? Are you stiff in the mornings? What do your joints feel like? Like, there's tons of different questions that they can ask, and they should be asking and will be asking if they're good coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then as time goes on, you kind of get to where it's like, even though somebody can't always know you, like, I actually had a couple, like 2 training partners throughout my biggest, when I was actually lifting for real.
Chad's like, heyday.
I literally could walk in and they would be like, yeah, you're not doing anything today.
Yeah.
And I look back and go, they were right every time. Of course I fought them at first, but after a while I finally stopped questioning it.
Yep.
But I think that's something that you can't, as a client, you can't just come in and want your coach to do everything. Like, there are things you're going to have to work on yourself, and there's things you're going to have to do yourself. One of those is learning yourself, learning how to communicate how you're feeling, learning how to be honest with yourself. And, like, again, the male ego comes in here. Fuck that, I'm not tired. Like, dude, if you're tired, you're tired. It has nothing to do with whether you can handle the training or whether you should handle training. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
So you don't need to hide it. One of the interesting things coming in for you this year, I thought, was there was one point where you went and did your squat training and you're like, man, something in my hip. And you ended up being really sore in your hip for, I don't know, what was that, a week or two,
like
maybe?
A week or so, almost 2 weeks.
And so it was kind of like your mind switched into recovery mode. And all of a sudden, your next trainings didn't seem as important. And it was like, okay, how can I get this healed? How can I get this recovered? And so I think you started doing more stretching, and you decided to do the oxygen chamber thing.
Hyperbaric.
Yeah.
That, prioritizing sleep, which was a big one during this prep because you and I are on a time difference. So, and we talk all the time. So talking at night was like, okay, yeah, we want to talk to each other and we want to spend time with each other, but I'm in meet prep. Yes. I'm sorry, this sucks, but we got to say goodnight. And that helped. Which
is hard for both of us, but I think it's a matter of communicating to each other and going, listen, you need your sleep. Like, sleep. I'll tell people right now, when people ask me about steroids, I'm like, are you getting 8 hours of sleep?
Yeah.
Like, before you go, I want to train more, I want to do this more, I want to do these supplements, I want to do any of this shit.
Things.
Like, are you getting 8 hours of sleep? Because to me, that's the biggest thing that's going to help you recover, help you get stronger. Like, it's going to have the biggest effect.
Yeah. Get all of your other ducks in a row before you start adding extra weird shit. Like, if your sleep is fucked up and your nutrition is not on point and your recovery is not on point, none of that other extra fancy whatever crap is going to do anything for you.
Right.
And then your creatines, your protein shakes, your pre-workouts, blah, blah, blah. It's just going to, like, overstimulate you. And you're just going to be running on fumes and you can't recover. People, like, I think at our core, and I'm this way too, like, I love a good quick fix. Like, if there's something like a trick or a tip or anything that I can do, like, just a little edge, like, I'm like, okay, cool. Smarter, not harder. But people neglect the basics.
Yes. And it was kind of interesting too, because the hip things that I know there was a couple little things throughout your prep, but the hip was like the biggest one. Like, we got to get this fixed.
I was really worried about that, actually.
And it was like, okay, let's try magnesium gel. Let's try the chamber. We got to get you to bed more. Like, it was just like, let's just, like, right now we're not scientifically trying to figure out what does what. We're just trying to get it fixed.
Yeah.
And so it was like,
it's funny.
This isn't going to hurt, so let's try it because it could help.
Right, exactly. And at the end of the day, what I think actually helped it was just pulling back a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. But we threw all kinds of other stuff at it. And maybe that concoction of hyperbaric chamber plus stretching mobility plus increased water intake, all that stuff, and then pulling back and sleep just kind of... It fixed itself.
Well, yeah, I kind of go, hey, if this helps 5% and this helps 5% and this helps 15%, like, okay, together this is doing pretty good. But what you just said about pulling back, you think was the biggest thing. Like, I struggle so much with linear periodization because what happens when these things happen? What do you do? Mm-hmm. Like, if you're on this little ramp up to that point, what do you do? Mm-hmm. And so that's why I'm like, I've never had a meal prep. Maybe I'm hungry. That's why I keep saying hungry? Meal prep. I've never had a meat prep go perfect ever.
No.
Like, there's always something that happens.
Yeah. My best meats have been my shittiest preps.
Yes. I've had that too.
Yeah.
The funny part though is like, okay, so impressive part to me. And this is how it seemed to me. It seemed pretty easy for you to pull back. Mm-hmm. Where, like, for myself included, a lot of people struggle with that. Like, no, it's meat prep. I have to do everything I have written down. Like, I can't veer from this. If I veer from this, what's going to happen? I won't hit my numbers.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, how strong most meat prep I would say 12 weeks. 12 to 16 weeks is what I hear most people.
Yeah.
When they really are like, okay, I got 12 weeks to get ready or 16 weeks to get ready.
Yeah.
I mean, how much stronger are you really going to get in 16 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, over my career, and this is where I'm going to pull in some math here.
Oh, shit. Let's go. Man.
Over my career, I averaged 100 pounds on my total a year for over 17 years. And I think that's pretty damn good.
That's pretty fucking impressive.
Okay, but if we start breaking that down, okay, so you put 100 pounds on 3 lifts over a year. That's 33 pounds a year. Let's break that down into a month. Mm-hmm. So that's what, 3 pounds a month? Yes, something like 3 pounds a month. So you're telling me your meat prep is going to have this huge, big difference if it's 12 weeks? Like, you're talking 9 pounds on a lift. Maybe.
Yeah.
Which you're going to do anyway. If you just trained regular, you would get that. Yeah. So I think people freak out about it. And I think this goes back to the podcast we did earlier. Risk versus reward.
That's what was on the tip of my tongue this whole time you were talking.
Like, if something happens, you go, okay, if I push it, what's the reward?
Yes.
And what's the risk? If I back off, what's the reward and what's the risk?
Yes.
You're almost always going to be better backing off.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, why take that risk of, hey, I'm hurt, something's wrong, but I need to get this session in? You're taking the risk of injury. You're taking the risk of making it worse. You're taking the risk of it not healing up.
Yeah.
If you back
it's not
off,
going to do you any good if it's still messed up come meet day.
Yeah, exactly.
And you would have done that to yourself.
And so the funny part of this is you start breaking all this down and you look at it logically and you're like, wow, why was I having such an emotional problem, like just backing off? Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes, I mean, I've studied communication a lot, and a lot of times the problem is we go off of our feelings. Mm-hmm. Feelings don't have any logic. They just happen.
Yeah.
So and I think in the gym, we need to learn that too. We need to learn it in communicating in relationships, in business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how many times when I was still working for companies where I would get pissed and the next day I'd go in and go, man, I still believe my argument was right, but I was out of line how I went into it, and I apologize.
Yeah.
Because that's just what a good person does. But
yeah, exactly.
I think it's the same thing in lifting. We got to go, wait a minute, hold on. I'm getting emotional and freaking out about this. I need to take a step back and look at this logically.
Yes.
And so your hip thing it actually wasn't that long ago. It wasn't like 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah. The first time I did the chamber, which was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And then so today you went in and hit kind of your opener squats.
Opener and
which didn't go exactly
attempt.
like you wanted. And I'm probably more positive because I'm just watching the videos.
Yeah.
But I mean, I watched the videos and I'm like, ooh, we're set up pretty good. Like I'm going to be on the platform with you.
Yeah. Well, it is Like, it definitely is.
But I'm like, we're not too bad. Like, this worked out good.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wouldn't have backed off, I guarantee it wouldn't have been that way. If you would have had to go in still being in pain and still dealing with whatever that we don't even know what that tweak was actually. Whatever that tweak was.
I don't want to know.
It'd be a whole different story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have no doubt that the right decision was made.
Yeah. No, I'm not mad about that decision at all. Right now, it's like, and this has happened historically to me and to most people at the end of every prep, like, you just put yourself through a bunch of shit for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you're ready to peak, and most people start feeling like shit 2 to 3 weeks out, myself included. So having that knowledge and knowing that that is usually what happens. I think I've only had a meet, and it was probably a raw meet too, that I felt awesome all the way up to the meet.
See, and that's
normal for me.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. And even you mentioned Dave Tate was asking you how you were feeling. Mm-hmm. And he kind of said, yeah, well, you're going into a meet. Like, this is normal.
Yeah, we had a good talk of, like, him just saying, this is the hardest session of your prep that you're doing right now. This is harder than the meet. This is harder than any of the other shit you got coming up. This is the real test of, are you prepared? This is like taking your PSAT before the SAT. And the PSAT is typically harder. And
I know Dave had an interview a couple weeks ago, and I saw a clip of that.
Or was it with Daniel?
No.
Team Hero?
Dan Bell. No, I think it was a different clip with Dan Bell. And he was talking about, he's like a couple weeks before the meet, like, I'm in tears and in bed and I don't want to talk to anybody. And like, and that got me thinking that I don't think it should be that way.
Well, I'm not in tears and in bed, but I'm not feeling great.
I think you should feel better and better and better and better. And like that last week you take off or just completely unload or do a super deload. Like, I think you should, like, every day you should wake up feeling better and better and better. By meet day,
that's what I'm heading into.
You should be chewing on steel, waiting to get under a bar.
Get a bar on my back immediately.
Yeah. And I know, because I look back at my career and I look back at my first few meets, and I was like that Friday before the meet, I'm at work, like, just running around going, what's next? Because I feel awesome.
Yeah.
And then as I got bigger and bigger and better and better, I started feeling more beat up going into meets. And every meet, I'm like, man, maybe I should have backed off a little more. But I'm so hard-headed that I don't learn quickly sometimes. So I never really got the chance to actually back off. But I was backing off more than anyone else at the time. Yeah. Some of my best meets, I'd take like 2 weeks off.
That's what I'm about to do.
Or do like a super, super deload than a completely unload week.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm like, God, I wish I would have had another week. But I'm on one far end of the spectrum with my sleep and shit, where
Yeah, well, you recover probably a lot slower than most others.
Yeah. But I think I hear so many people, man, I did that weight like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. Or I've even heard a guy go, I did that last weekend. I did that weight last weekend and it was easy. And I'm like, well, that's probably why it's not easy this week, dude.
Yeah.
Like I think meat prep is it's something a lot of people screw up.
Yeah. No, I agree. And even, I mean, I started technically prep at the end of December. My meet's in April. Mm-hmm. And the reason that we did that and we planned it out, walked it back that far, is to allow for skipping days, or not skipping days, but rolling days into another week, or I took 2 whole deload weeks this prep, just fully off, went in, drug a sled, did some pumpy stuff, lat pull downs, whatever.
So that's interesting. Are you saying that you kind of went, hey, we know that there's going to be a few sessions in here that I'm not going to be ready to do, or I'm going to need more time off. So you like planned in.
Yeah, I guess
I'm going to miss some sessions, so we're going to have extra days in here where I can pick and choose where I want this to happen.
Yeah, I didn't know like which sessions it was going to be, because like I can't predict how my body's going to feel. Mm-hmm. But I knew that I had baked in time to where if I started feeling a certain way, and I know what my limits are, when I start feeling that way, I can say, hey, Marcus, I'm feeling this way. Can we back off? And he's like, yep, cool. We got time to do that. Here's how hard we can back off. If you want to really back off, you won't have this. It's like buying a vowel in Wheel of Fortune. Like you have enough money, you can buy the vowel. Or like your phone a friend, get out of jail free. But if we use all of it now, you won't have it closer to the meet. And I'm like, okay, cool.
That's super interesting to me.
Oh, it's all strategy.
Would you say that helps you mentally when you do need to take those days off? You're a little more relaxed about it because you have it planned into it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I need to take an emergency day of leave. And if I have a shitload of leave, I'm like, yeah, cool, no problem. Something comes up. I got to take time off work. I got it.
See, now you got me thinking I'm jumping back into life again. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, your job gives you 6 days a year. Like, you know, something's going to happen. And that's why you have sick days. That's why you have personal days. Mm-hmm. That's why you have vacation days, because you know you're going to need a break.
Yes.
Why the hell don't we plan that into our meet prep?
I do, babe.
So logical. I've never done that. That's such an awesome way to look at it. It's very cool.
You're welcome.
So,
see, I can teach you things.
Have I ever said you can't teach me nothing?
No, you haven't said that. It's just that you teach me way more things than I've historically, in the past 3 months, historically.
That's what in my head right now. I'm going, God damn it! Why didn't I think of that? That makes so much sense. Like, that's so logical.
Yeah, it does feel like I've been in prep for forever, because I have.
Like almost.
But
almost that makes me go, wow, I've got to rethink linear periodization. If I just went, hey, I'm going to do a 12-week wave into this program, but I'm going to program it for 14 weeks. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to do 12 spread into 14, just knowing that somewhere along the line, something's going to go wrong. Mm-hmm. That's fascinating. Because I've always, like, my meal prep, like, people always say, what was
meal prep?
Why can't I stop saying that? Because when I'm saying meat
it's
prep,
cracking me up.
When I'm saying meat prep, I'm thinking MEAT anyway. Yeah.
You must be hungry.
Dude, I use taco mix and a lot of hot sauce. I like to mix my meats.
You dork.
But people would ask me about my meat prep, and I'm like, I don't prep for meats. Like, I'm continually getting stronger.
Yeah.
For me, it's not meat prep. It's can I be 100% recovered and ready to go on that day? Mm-hmm. So, like, even
That's like the conjugate mentality. Like Lou,
yes,
you should be ready to do a meet whenever,
mm-hmm.
even though like that recovery side of thing, because they didn't deload, quote unquote. But like that's kind of that mentality of
Yeah,
just
I mean,
constantly going.
I would basically go, okay, here's what we're going to do. Like, I'm going to program back. I'm going to make sure we have a week off. I'm going to make sure it's a deload, then a week, or a dynamic, then a week off. For most of my guys would be a dynamic week off meet. Then I'm going to go, I want to hit my openers. I want to know what your openers are on this date.
Mm-hmm.
And then my main goal
back.
is to make sure you're recovered on that day. You're 100% ready to go. Because the 12-week, I'm going to gain strength in 12 weeks. Like, really? Come on.
No,
like,
you're going to gain proficiency in 12 weeks.
Yeah,
which can translate to strength.
Yes. But if you do a conjugate system, you're always working on it anyway. Like, you're always working on your 1 rep max. Mm-hmm. So I always kind of looked at it as like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not prepping for the meet. I'm going to make sure I'm 100% ready on that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Meat prep.
Meal prep. Meat prep.
There's an article in there somewhere.
Yeah. A sticker, t-shirt, something. Yeah. But this prep as a whole has been challenging because I played a lot of equipment roulette. I had a lot of costume changes. And there were a lot of different variables that I had to deal with and consider, just like in any prep. Like, work is always a thing.
I think if I look at us being together through this meet prep, I think mentally you were really good, but there was definitely some times where I could see some frustration. Mm-hmm. And especially like with your equipment, trying to get the right equipment and knowing, hey, I only have so much time. Like, I need to decide what I'm going to be in, because I got to get my openers ready and understand how much am I getting out of this.
Right. Or like, shit just doesn't fit. When it doesn't fit, like, I can't make it work. I can't get it back in time. Like, it depends. And also, like, I'm not going to sacrifice pounds on my total playing around in equipment. Like, I'm going to go with the best combination of everything possible to get the biggest total.
Yeah.
And sometimes that takes trial and error, especially in equipped lifting. You are always going to have to trial and error. And that's why I also think it was really good that we walked this prep out so far from like a traditional 8-10 week prep, because that granted me time to play around a little bit at the beginning. Right.
There was also some times in there that was really interesting with, because your job, you basically have a career, and that's how you make a living. So that's important. So with your job and then with some sponsors, there was times where I remember it was like, okay, well, I need to train, but how can we get this training in? And some of the points where it's like, hey, we can probably squeeze this training in, but what's going to be the effect with everything else that's going on? And maybe this training should only be this much instead of what we had planned, like auto-regulating and then changing it throughout the way based on everything else that was going on in life without actually freaking out about it. And that was, I even talked to some of my clients, because my clients are like, they ask, how you doing? And are you ready? How's she going to do? And like, one of the things is like, I'm amazed how good you were at auto-regulating it and then not freaking out about it. Like, hey, this is what I have. This is the best decision, risk versus reward. So that it is what it is. Like, this is, and I hate that saying it is what it is, but like, we did the best we could. Yeah. And I'm comfortable with the choices I made.
Yeah, I credit the military a lot for my demeanor coming at any sort of problem set or any goal, because the more time I spend with people, because I train with people who are not in the military, like not a single one I train with is in the military. And I, like, that has been driven into my brain, like, Semper Gumby, be flexible. Like, that is the everything. Like, things will change. It depends. Figure it out. Make decisions on the fly. It will be okay. And if it's not okay, you either win or you lose. Or not lose. You either win or you learn. And then, like, that's fine. You debrief, you figure out where things broke down, you do an assessment on it, and you're like, okay, here's how we got to do it next time so that we make it better. Because there will be a next time. I think that's a thing that people lose sight of. They get such tunnel vision in meet prep. Like, this is my life. This is what I got to do. This meet is everything. It's just fucking powerlifting. You're just lifting weights. Like, there will be another one. You will get better. You will get worse. Then you'll get better again. Maybe you'll quit for a while. Maybe you'll come back. Like, just roll with it, man. And it'll be okay. And a lot of people I've found, they get so emotionally invested in, like, giving a shit what other people think of them, or, oh, everyone has these expectations of me. And even me right now, like, people know that I'm going for the world record, and they're like, how you feeling? How you doing? You excited? How's training? And they have these expectations of you. Like, they want you to get it. They're rooting for you. But at the end of the day, you can't worry about letting those people down. And that's hard for folks.
I think that, again, goes where you have to go, okay, here's the emotions I'm feeling. But these aren't the most logical emotions, and maybe I need to analyze this for a second and relax, and then reset. Yeah. And I think that goes back to risk versus reward, and understanding that, like, you really have to be confident that you did the best you could. And you're going to make mistakes. I've bombed out of meets. I've made some dumb choices.
Same.
But as long as at every one of them, if I could go, okay, well, I learned something. And even at the very minimum, I know I did this and it did not work. Okay, then I'm smarter than I was. I know one thing that didn't work.
Yeah.
So I think if we can...
boom, crosswalk it with life.
Yeah, pull back and go, hey, I learned something. And that's what this is all about. You know, are you getting better? If you're getting better, then that's all that matters. And sometimes getting better doesn't mean putting up more weight.
No, it means learning from a failure. And
I think, too, everybody that's been in the sport knows, man, you could do everything right and shit can still go wrong. Like, you could have the greatest meal prep in the world and sprain your ankle stepping out of your car.
I'm not going to correct you anymore on meal prep.
Oh, did I do another one? Meal prep. I must be hungry or something.
You're cracking me up with that shit. But yeah.
Yeah, now I lost my track of thought. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to risk versus reward. Did I do the best I did? I could.
Yeah. All the stars could align and have the perfect meat prep. And then you show up and shit the bed. Yeah.
You could have got sick. You could have got food poisoning.
Yeah.
You could sprain your ankle.
Dog could have died.
You could warm up and pull a hamstring. Like, I mean, you could do everything in the fucking right, and it ends up wrong. So it's all about
bench shirt could blow out. You don't have another one.
I'm continually going to do the best I can do, and I'm going to learn. And sometimes shit's going to go wrong, and that's just part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to get better. It reminds, I think it was Ed Cohn said one time that the only person he really ever competed with was himself. And even when he started, it's like, did I do better than I did last time? Yes. Okay. Then I just need to keep doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And eventually you're going to be like, holy shit, I'm one of the best in the world. Or holy shit, I get to go for a world record.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me too. Like, I don't pay attention to who else is on the roster. That's Marcus's job. He pays attention to who else is on the roster. He's trying to, like, strategize and stuff with coefficients during the meet and whatever, like get me a belt or get me some money or something, which is awesome. And you do need someone to do that, but that's shouldn't be for me to stress out about. And I don't.
Well, no, I don't.
I don't worry about what other people are doing.
First of all, when you're first starting out in your local meets and stuff, like who really gives a shit if you win it? Like, especially if I wanted to see how far I could push myself. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if I win the Nevada State, I'm looking way past that. Like,
yeah. Well, some people they don't have that. And you and I are guilty of this because it's hard to put ourselves in those shoes because we never felt that way. But some people are like, I'm cool with just, this is like a mid-level hobby for me. I want to get stronger. I want to feel healthier. I want to look good naked. I'm cool. And like, hey, sick, I'm a state record holder. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, but that still goes, you have your goal, but if you're not ready to meet your goal, just keep focusing on, I keep getting better. I keep getting better. I keep getting better. And then you'll get that goal. You'll reach that goal.
Yeah.
But if you're like, doing some local meet and you want to win the state meet and you're worried, like, I got to win this one to get that one. It's not about winning yet. It's still about growing.
Yeah.
And getting better. And then the time will come where it's like, okay, now I'm here and I'm experienced and I could win this today. Okay, let's go for the win.
I remember when I was still doing local meets in Ohio, that's when the Kern US Open first came out. And this is before I ever even touched equipment. And I was like, that's the meet I want to do. And it was very hard to qualify. It's still very hard to qualify. I don't think they have it anymore. And it was like 40 grand prize purse and just this amazing spectacle of a meet. And I remember like working towards that. And that's what I wanted to go do. And then finally one day I was like, oh shit, I just got an invitation to the Kern US Open. This was years later.
Yeah.
But then I had to put it into perspective of like, this was my end all be all meet. That's like, that was my, I've made it. And now I'm like, that's fucking cool. I love that I got an invite and I'm absolutely going to go do it. But like, what's next?
Right. And that's because I think you get into that, I'm just going to keep getting better. I'm just going to keep getting better.
Exactly. The mindset changed to myself versus external things like qualifying for meets and like hanging out with the cool kids. Which I've never been a cool kid.
I don't know. Your boyfriend's the cool kid now.
Are you? Who told you that?
Well, in my own head, I am. I always was. So now we're going down this whole other rabbit hole again, which we won't totally do because of time. But
no, we won't.
The journey, like the end, the reward. Don't even do that. I hate journey.
The end journey. That was Miley Cyrus.
The end, like if you think about it, I was thinking about this the other day, so it's funny. It kind of comes up that the journey takes you years and years and years. The end of the journey is a minute, small time usually. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to break this world record. Well, you break the world record in like less than 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. Like, is that really the thing? Like, no, that's not the thing. The thing was the journey. The journey was the part that was fun and the part that built you and grew you and made you a better person. So, like, I think sometimes we get so focused on the end and it's the journey that's the big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all the songs that people write about graduation day and blah, blah, blah. And it's corny. I like corn, but like I've learned so much about myself and about others in this prep. Just going to Elite, surrounding myself with people who know more than I do, who can teach me things and who I can help in return somehow. And then at the Dirty Gym, same thing. And just like picking people's brains.
Is this your first meet since you've been going to Elite?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Wait. What was the last meet I did? Well, did I? I don't know. I think I might have done the American Pro because that was my last meet last year. I did the American Pro. That was in end of July, and I moved back to Ohio from DC in June. So I think I might have gone to Elite maybe a handful of times
Yeah,
before
but
that
you
meet.
weren't regular there.
No, I wasn't like,
Or now you're kind of a weekend fixture.
yeah, I wasn't talking shit to Dave or anything at that point, like I am now.
He needs it. So how would you
He's
say, I
awesome.
mean, if you could put into words the difference being around that group, and I mean, the amount of knowledge of the people you're training around there is like years and years and years of experience.
Yeah, like just even like the little tips and tricks, or try this, try that, or tips and tricks on accessory movements. But I honestly think the biggest thing, and this is what happened to me when I started training with Jimmy, is the amount of growth and my confidence in myself is directly proportional to the experience and trust that I have in the others around me, if that makes sense. So Jimmy, I knew that whatever Jimmy said that I should put on the bar, he knew that I could do it. And if I couldn't do it and didn't do it, I knew that I was going to be fine because the spotters were there. I just trusted everyone. I trusted him. I trusted the spotters. I trusted everyone there. And I felt so comfortable throwing out crazy number. Like, I think I hit like 675 to a 2 board in that fucking band shirt. That's stupid. I would never do that here. I might do it at Elite. But like, same thing here at Elite. Like, I always knew that that crew had me no matter what. And I had the comfort and confidence in my safety and also their knowledge base to know that they're not gonna recommend that I do something that is either stupid or that they think I can't do on that particular day.
So are you saying that you just had confidence having that team with you?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you saying that your own internal confidence actually grew from your experiences with that team?
I think they go hand in hand, because as my confidence was bolstered just being around those type of folks and their experience and their knowledge level and their ability to keep me safe, I pushed my limits. I found out what I could and couldn't do. And I mean, maybe not couldn't, because I don't think I've done anything that I've totally crashed and burned on. But it pushed the envelope for me, and it increased my ceiling of confidence in myself to know, like, I'm not even fucking close to being done.
So let's go back to your meal prep. And I actually said meal prep on purpose this time. Today, you had a situation where it was 7-something and you picked it up and the bar kind of rolled on you and you started shaking and you re-racked it and just almost immediately did it again. Like in your full wrap, full gear, which anybody who's had all that gear on knows that's really hard to be in all that stuff and have that extra time being in all that stuff and then pick it up again and just go. Is that something you would have been able to do a few years ago?
No, I don't think so. I think that I know my body so well now that if I thought that there was any like waver in myself of, no, I'm not going to be able to sit this down and stand this back up, I would have unwrapped, regrouped, got my breath, whatever. But I knew that was just like, I'm fine. I knew what happened and why that happened, and I knew exactly what to do to fix it. So I'm like, all right, suck it up. I will be fine here. Listen to Dave. Dave knew exactly what happened. If you listen to the audio on that video, he's like, bar rolled, racket. And I'm like, okay. Racked it, laughed it off, got back under there, found my feet, rooted really well, made sure that my upper back was tight so that shit wasn't going to roll, make sure that my wrists were nice and stacked and they weren't all cockeyed and shit. Picked it, took it down, and it was fine. But I had the confidence, like those guys were not going to let anything happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was able to do that. And that I knew what my body was capable of and that I could sit in those wraps for an extra 30 seconds. And I busted my ass this entire prep on my conditioning, and I'm in good shape. So I was able to...
Whoa. Don't use the C word around powerlifters. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, could you imagine? Like, that was a big reason I was able to do that.
Yeah. No, it's true. And you are... We've talked a lot of times about that, and I've mentioned it, that I'm like, you're hitting huge raw numbers, you're hitting huge geared numbers, and you're actually in shape.
Yeah, because I prioritize work capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons I think I was able to do that. And it sucked. And mentally, honestly, like the physical part wasn't even hard. It was the mental part of like, what the fuck just happened? All right, get your shit together, dust it off, go.
It's interesting to me because I'm kind of like a wrecking ball.
Yeah,
like
you came in like a wrecking ball. Okay, Miley.
Okay. I just have this weird inner, like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to fucking do it anyway. So my confidence was always there. But I kind of what you're saying makes sense to me. Like, it's got to help being around a team you trust where you can kind of start pushing yourself, but you're pushing yourself under a situation where it's like, yeah, dude, if I don't get it, like, these guys know what they're doing. Like, I'm good.
Yeah. And they know what to tell me, which is very helpful. They know what I need to hear and when I need to hear it.
So you're, in essence, you're training your confidence just like you're training your strength.
Mm-hmm. Mental and physical go hand in hand.
Interesting.
So yeah, that was prep. We'll see what happens.
Now we'll see what happens.
Now it's time to chill
I have
out
a good
for
feeling
a
about
bit.
it.
I'm glad you do.
I mean, anything can happen, so who knows? But
yeah,
I think that's one of those things too, where it's like, okay, yeah, there's being realistic. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
But I think you did a really good job. I think your programming was really good. I think your auto-regulation was really good. So, like, I mean, what more could you have done? Nothing to me. Everything went, shit happened, but you overcame it. I think it was handled well. Like, so to me, I'm like, dude, let's just keep rolling.
Yeah.
It's going to work out. Like,
let's go. Chill out until game day.
And I know for me, the first squat was always,
yeah. As soon as I get that out of the way,
because I've had warm-ups where, like, I've warmed up with 1,000 pounds in the back, and my partners are like, dude, do we need to lower your opener? I'm like, no. We'll not fine. I'm only opening with 1140. We're good. Let's go. Jesus. And go out and just hit it and be like, oh yeah, we're good. The rest of this day is going good. So it's like, for me, it was always that first squat really, because even my warm-ups didn't really tell me how I was feeling. It was the first lift on the platform.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of, covered that topic as much as we're going to cover it today.
Yeah.
Again, all this stuff is it's so different. There's so many different avenues and aspects and so many areas you could go. Mm-hmm. If I can get people thinking about their EET prep, I think that's a good thing, and just give people different ideas and different topics and different point of views. Because I don't care how much science you want to try to put into this, individuals are individuals.
Yep.
So, until next time, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here too. I'm going to go make some meat. I'm going to go meal prep.
All right, guys. Till next time.
Thanks for listening to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast. For more information, please visit CourageBarbell.com. Until next time.